In the small town of Centerville, Chief Cliff Robertson and Officer Ronnie Peterson respond to an odd call from Farmer Frank Miller about a stolen chicken. Frank is certain that Hermit Bob, the town's notorious recluse, is to blame. Cliff and Ronnie head into the forest where Bob lives. As they approach, Bob fires a warning shot, yelling for them to stay away. Ronnie turns to Cliff and asks if they should arrest him, but Cliff shakes his head and decides against it. Back in the patrol car, Cliff explains that he's known Hermit Bob since they were kids. Despite his eccentricity, Bob has never harmed anyone, and Cliff doubts he took the chicken. As they drive back, the two notice something strange. The sun is still high in the sky, even though it's well past 8 in the evening. Their conversation is interrupted when the police radio suddenly cuts out. Attempts to contact Officer Mindy Morrison back at the station are unsuccessful. To make matters worse, Ronnie discovers that his cell phone and watch have stopped working. With growing unease, he tells Cliff, "This isn't going to end well," a phrase he repeats ominously throughout their shift. Trying to lighten the mood, Ronnie turns on the car radio, and the song "The Don't Die" by Sturgill Simpson begins to play. When Cliff asks why Ronnie is so fond of the song, Ronnie casually replies, "Because it's the theme song of the movie," breaking the fourth wall for the first of many times. Meanwhile, at the local diner, Hank Thompson, Farmer Frank Miller, and waitress Fern listen to a news broadcast discussing polar fracking. The report insists that the fracking poses no threat, but the three remain skeptical, especially as they too notice the strangely persistent daylight. At the Centerville Juvenile Detention Center, teens Geronimo, Olivia, and Stella watch a similar report on television. This one claims that polar fracking has caused the Earth to tilt off its axis. A staff member scolds Geronimo and sends him back to the boys' floor. Elsewhere, Dean, a delivery driver for WPS, drops off a package of rare comics at Bobby Wiggins' gas station and memorabilia shop. Bobby, a collector of movie and comic treasures, asks Dean for a piece of wisdom to carry him through the week. Dean cryptically replies, "The world is perfect. Appreciate the details." Back at his motel, owner Danny watches another news report, this time about pets acting strangely or disappearing altogether. Alarmed, Danny searches for his own cat but can't find it anywhere. Farmer Frank Miller also notices something amiss when he steps outside to check on his dog. The dog ignores his calls and bolts into the distance, leaving Frank bewildered. A more chilling discovery awaits him. All his farm animals have vanished without a trace. At night, Fern and the cleaner, Lily, discuss the new undertaker at the Ever After funeral home. Lily mentions that Zelda Winston, who also works there, is a strange one, hard to understand due to her thick Scottish accent. Zelda is then seen practicing with a katana in a back room, her movements focused and precise. Meanwhile, two zombies rise from their graves and stagger toward the diner. Inside, Fern and Lily are caught off guard as the zombies attack, killing them both and starting to feast. Their meal is abruptly interrupted when the zombies notice coffee sitting at the counter. They drink the coffee, smashing the cups onto the floor before leaving, as if their hunger was momentarily satisfied. The next morning, all three officers, Cliff, Ronnie, and Mindy, respond to a call at the diner. They discover Fern and Lily's bodies, clearly victims of some violent attack. Ronnie suggests that zombies are behind it, but Cliff dismisses the idea, thinking it's just a wild theory. Meanwhile, Zoe and her friends, Jack and Zach, are traveling through town when they stop at Bobby's gas station for gas and drinks. They decide to check into Danny's motel for the night, where Cliff and Ronnie warn them to lock their doors and avoid going out after dark. At the Juvenile Detention Center, Geronimo and the others talk about the mysterious deaths, with Geronimo also suggesting zombies before he's kicked off the girls' floor again. Cliff and Ronnie investigate the cemetery, where they find two graves freshly dug up and empty. Hermit Bob, observing from the forest, concludes that this can only mean one thing: a zombie apocalypse. The two officers drive through town, warning residents to stay inside and remain safe. During their patrol, Cliff asks Ronnie how to kill a zombie, to which Ronnie bluntly responds, "You have to kill the head." Meanwhile, Bobby and Hank have a similar conversation inside Hank's hardware store, where they decide to lock themselves in with an arsenal of weapons, ready for whatever may come. As night falls, the dead from the graveyard reanimate and chaos begins to spread. Danny, the motel owner, is attacked and killed by the rising corpses. Cliff and Ronnie rush back to the police station, armed with weapons, and inform Mindy about the zombie outbreak. In the drunk tank, the body of the town's recently deceased alcoholic stirs and reanimates, muttering Chardonnay over and over. Ronnie, unable to watch any longer, decapitates her, and Mindy looks on, visibly disgusted by the gruesome act. Meanwhile, Zelda, the mysterious undertaker, takes matters into her own hands. Armed with a katana, she swiftly kills 2 zombies in the funeral home before walking over to the police station. Cliff and Ronnie leave her there to watch over the phones while they continue patrolling, agreeing to meet her soon at the cemetery. Upon arriving at the motel, the officers discover Zoe, Jack, and Zach, now dead in their room. Ronnie cuts off their heads to prevent them from reanimating, leaving Mindy horrified by the brutality. Farmer Frank fights off a few zombies on his porch before being overwhelmed and killed. Hermit Bob, seen from the safety of the forest, munches contentedly on the stolen chicken. Back at Hank's hardware store, Hank and Bobby manage to hold their ground for a while, boarding up the front door. However, they forget about the back door, which the zombies break through, ending their fight for survival. At the juvenile detention center, Geronimo, Stella, and Olivia hide in a closet, hoping to avoid the undead roaming the halls. Once the zombies leave, the teens seize the opportunity to escape, seemingly to safety. As the night progresses, the zombies return to familiar habits. They wander the streets, seeking out the things they once loved. Zombie children are seen taking candy from Bobby's gas station, while adult zombies drag items they cherished in life down the streets. Some even seem to engage with their smartphones, idly scrolling and remarking on the state of Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, Officer Cliff manages to get their patrol car stuck in the cemetery, driving over zombies rather than avoiding them as Mindy had advised. Frustrated, Mindy expresses her anger at Cliff and Ronnie's seemingly apathetic response to the situation. As a horde of zombies encircles their car, Mindy discovers that her grandmother has become one of the undead. Unable to bear the pressure any longer, Mindy exits the car, walking toward her reanimated grandmother. Zelda, however, has managed to navigate through the chaos in Ronnie's small smart car, dodging zombies with ease. As she approaches the cemetery, the zombies begin to pull away from the patrol car when a UFO suddenly appears in the sky. A beam of light envelops Zelda, and the UFO ascends, taking her with it. Cliff, watching the spectacle, mutters, "I always thought Zelda was weird." With their situation growing more dire, the 2 remaining officers decide if they are to die, they will die fighting. They exit the car, armed and ready to face the horde head-on. Hermit Bob, watching from the forest's edge, comments on the state of the world, saying, "With everyone obsessed over things, people have lost their souls for gold." As Ronnie and Cliff are overwhelmed by the relentless zombie swarm, Bob observes and mutters, "It's a fucked up world." What do you think Zelda's sudden UFO abduction means for the rest of the town? And how will the survivors manage to keep fighting the zombies without her? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.